Okay, so I guess my very first inspirations for my body of work came from my sunrise photography. I was taking many photos of the sun, the clouds, the sky, and it just inspired me, the light and atmosphere they'd created, and I thought that I definitely want to put those dramatic colours onto canvas and paint it. And yeah, to help me bring out the colours, I used impasto. I mixed impasto with paint, and I did many layers. So as you come closer to the artwork, you can see the different colours through the cracks and the layers. And the artist that inspired me to use this medium was Nicholas Harding. I remember I learnt about him in the art room, and just his interesting application of impasto paint onto the canvas I found very interesting. He was just using many layers, and I thought that it looks fun and I'm ready to experiment, so I want to do the same. The concept of my work, I guess, that it explores the element of time and the importance of the moment. So I use many symbols in my work. So the girl is looking through the window. This represents memories, her dreams and past experiences. And the baby's playful gesture, it represents his excitement and willingness to learn and explore the world. And the boat, it can symbolize the future and the journey as well. And I guess for these many different symbols, I decided to name my artwork, "We do not remember days, we remember moments."
I designed, well, I guess I created a work that sort of was trying to interpret the absence of space by showing what is there, what isn't there. I straight away knew that I wanted to play with mirror. Mirror just interested me, especially after I went to a exhibition of Oliver Eliasson at the MCA. He is renowned for his play of light through such works as Two Sunsets, the 360 Room. He sort of tries to play with your impression of light and what is there, what isn't there. And so I wanted to somewhat mimic it in some ways, but go on my own tangent and create a work that is somewhat interactive, because none of the pieces are actually glued down. It can be rearranged in any order you want it to be. Again, with the two lights underneath, you can get it to really show different aspects. Again, it's got another dimension to it. It is meant as a secondary piece to have the lights switched off, and then you're getting these kaleidoscope sort of images spread throughout by the lights.
So the process of what I did throughout the year was I kind of did each one. It didn't take very long, but the ideas and thoughts of it took a long time, took the whole year. And just with these two here, there was a third one, and it was the Joker from Batman. But I didn't have enough space for that one. And these two ones are my influence was Jean-Michel Basquiat. And this one up here was one of Goya's works, Francisco Goya. And it's an appropriation of one of his. Okay. Oh, okay, yeah. So this one is meant to represent man in its twisted form, and then this one is nature in all its glory, and they're kind of two polar opposite kind of things. And yeah, with this got like the timeline of nature and man splitting off from nature, and then it's just got all little symbols everywhere, like this little snake and the tree that's meant to be, you know, the Adam and Eve story. There's the Twin Towers, that's man's destruction, and consumerism up here, and just kind of, yeah, everything that represents man. So it's all mixed media, a bit of spray paint and acrylic and oil sticks and that kind of thing. That's a reference to Picasso's Guernica. Just that one is taken out, but nothing else of this one is to do with the Guernica. It's just that thrown in. And yeah, these quotes, kind of just random quotes that I just thought of.
It was more an exploration of German Expressionism. I looked at Karl Schmidt-Rudloff initially, with this first one here, and then I sort of did all the faces, and then it sort of went into my teacher suggesting looking at Marc Chagall, also some things from Picasso, and as you can see from like the light bulb, it's like from Guernica, from Picasso. When I first came up with my idea, I was painted a Anzac painting, and I wasn't sure of what to do. It was sort of along the lines of German Expressionism, so my teacher suggested that I do a painting looking at German Expressionism. That was the first one, and then as I did all the faces, I went on to the background. So when I paint, I sort of intuitively, I sort of just come up with the idea. I don't really have a plan, I just kind of draw it out and then do it. I paint with my emotions and that, and like it's an exploration with like the colours, and yeah, the colours are probably the reference to my emotions and that. That one's probably the most appropriated. Like you may see in the bird in some of them, that's from Marc Chagall, and the cow is from Marc Chagall and that. And just the buildings, I suppose. I've been asked by Kay Cotty to do a portrait for the Archibald, so I'm doing that as well. I don't know if you know who she is. Yeah. I've finished it, but
You haven't finished it?
I have finished it. Yeah. Thank you.
This is where I started on this painting, and this was one of my first attempts at the oil paints, and so I was just kind of getting to grips with the medium and everything for this one and the shapes. This one is more of a reference to Lucian Freud, who's an English artist, and then from here I moved on to more of Bacon, which is more an expressionism, I guess. Yeah, and this is where I did this one last, and yeah. So I think I was getting used to more of the shapes than paint. This one was more like exploration of the paint than more shapes and form. I just wanted to make a painting that had kind of an emotional impact, if I could make that. Not necessarily my own, but like for the audience to see what they wanted when they saw it and bring their own experience to it. I think the lights is a recurring theme. I think that's kind of representative of shining a light onto events in someone's life. I think I kind of used a face for this one, but it didn't have the hands. I incorporated that of photos I took myself. This one, it's little bits of it are taken from Bacon's work, so I think the hands and the head shape, that was one of his paintings, but I made the face up. And the shape, yeah, I just tried to work around a little bit with taking photos myself. I've done a little bit of acrylics, and before that I was mostly on charcoal and pencil. So, yeah. I got stuck at times because I felt like I was staring at it so much, and then I didn't really know what I was meant to do next and what to go on to. My teacher was pretty good. She pointed out, because she could step back and look at it and tell me what I needed to do. I think I left this one for a little bit and I went on to this one, and then I worked back into this one once I knew more what I wanted to do for this. If that makes sense.
Yeah, this is my work. It's kind of like a stop motion slash, like stop motion. I've used multiple pictures. I think it was over 6,000 pictures in the end, and put them together to make a video. And it's depicting kind of global warming in one scene, industrialisation in another, and humanisation in this one we're watching now. I've used aerosol paint and normal house paint to paint around these walls, which are around my house at home. It was a pretty time-consuming work because I had to do most of it on the weekends when I wasn't at school, because I couldn't really do much of it in my actual art class, except for fiddle on the computer, which didn't take that long. And I think the worst thing about doing this piece was the like there's so many shadows from the trees around my house, and every day when I did it, I had to wait till a certain time, and each day I was only a certain period to do it, and I had to wait for an overcast day, not a sunny day, so I don't have shadows on it. Because I could only do probably about half an hour or something per time I could do it, because I only had a short time frame to fit into paint. It probably took me about a month or so, at least, to do. Yeah, I knew the drawings pretty well. I didn't have to copy it off any piece of paper or anything. I just did it straight onto the wall. There's no stencils or anything.
So originally, my teacher made us think of our concept first, and I wanted to explore the concept of looking at the bigger picture. Afterwards, I also thought I wanted to work in printmaking because we did a bit of it in junior school, and I really liked the process. And it was at this time that my teacher, she showed me a work by Isidro Blasco, and it was really amazing. He did photo collages, and he plastered them on wooden boards, and then he would overlap them and then enhance the 3D quality of the photo as well. And yeah, it was really amazing, and also you can see how disconnected it was because it showed obvious signs of construction, as you could see the wooden beams kind of sticking out and also forming part of the base. And so then, yeah, my teacher thought it was a really good work as well, and I decided to combine printmaking and also the form of Isidro Blasco and yeah, make a sculpture out of my lino prints. So yeah, these all explore the disconnection within 21st century society, how people, yeah, they seem like the silhouettes, they're all walking along the streets, and yeah, the cityscape is all disconnected and fractured, and yeah, to show my concept. It was a bit heartbreaking to cut into my lino prints at first because I spent so long on the first one especially. But after a while, yeah, you just kind of look at the design and see what you think would look best, like what you need to fold or pop out. And so slowly it kind of came together and yeah, formed the sculpture.
A really special part of my work I love is the braille. The braille is a really big part of my work because if you can actually read along it, it actually says, "With the melody lingering on the lips of dawn's darkness, uncomfortable the dance may be, for the shadows crave to be with the light, yet the separation must remain." So throughout my whole sort of process and exploration in my art making practice, I really wanted to try and capture light and the way it encompasses all things in its path. Not only through, you know, not just like flat objects, but more 3D and more in depth. So that's why I kind of added the more sculpture element, especially with perspex and the black being more of a solid form than doing light. With this piece, I've actually only been doing photography for about 2 years, not even that. With this work, I used the digital canvas on Photoshop. None of these images are photoshopped. Make a very big point, because what I've done is I've taken the raw images by shooting on a manual form and hand selecting really small segments and slightly enlarging them and transferring them over the top of each other to sort of start building. That original banner was, I think, 6 gig by itself before it was flattened, and with over about 200 layers, just all in the specific points besides the major ones. So a long time in sort of creation process, but to get these images, like there was a lot of running around at night through graveyards and down the Sydney Harbour. The one on the far end, which is really sort of more distorted, that almost looks liquid by itself, is actually one of the bubble lights down near Darling Harbour that you see sort of around. And the fact that at the beginning things are kind of clear and then slowly they get even more distorted and more darkened. But it's also to go with my initial concept of the people, those who are blind, that they can see more than those who actually physically have sight, that they need their senses to interpret things more than those who actually do see take for granted. I've used 15-minute exposures where you have to stand in the cold and not let the camera move and shake for 15 minutes without just letting light run through it, where the one further down the end was really quick, moving as you're going through a car. So there was a lot of experimentation with sort of motion and time and space and light.